Whoever you are and wherever you may be on your spiritual journey, please know that for this hour, you are part of this one gathered congregation, and you are welcome here. Morning. My name is Michael Gardner. I'm one of the worship associates at the church, and it's my great pleasure this morning to introduce Michaela Hoffman, who is our youth advisor, and she'll be in the virtual pulpit this morning as Catherine is taking one of her rare days off. Thanks to Gail and David Murphy for the flowers this morning in memory of Alan and Helen Southard, Gail's parents. A few announcements. We will have a Joys and Concern moment in the service shortly. We will not call on you individually to share a joy or concern, but rather ask you to put your thoughts into a chat, and then you can continue doing that throughout the service. We will light one candle for all of the chats because, as Catherine advised me, it's actually too hard for me to read the chats from here on the screen as big as it is. A few announcements. We are in the middle of the annual pledge drive to support the workings of the church, and the Stewardship Committee would certainly appreciate your pledge. Contact Nancy Ovasca or any other member of the Stewardship Committee, or visit the church website at uudux.org. Today at noon, Catherine will be working on her day off. She'll be blessing the global pandemic stone, which has been on loan from the Peace Abbey in front of our sanctuary for the last 2 weeks. Consider coming to this event with masks and social distancing to witness this moment when we remember the now more than 3 million people worldwide who have died because of the virus. After the blessing, some of us will be accompanying the stone as we transport it down 3A to Holy Family Church, its next stop on a very long journey. This will hopefully be a once-in-a-lifetime event for all of us, and if you are interested, please come. Also, don't forget that on May 1st from 10 to noon on the lawn in front of the church, we will be having a May celebration with a maypole and the making of May baskets to distribute to some of the more isolated members of our church family. This is a multi-generational event, and where all ages are able and invited to participate. If you are interested, please contact Joyce Sawyer at joycesawyer12@gmail.com, or her email's in the directory. Just tell RSVP and let her know that you plan on attending. Finally, today is the one Sunday a month when after church, instead of going into a breakout room, you have the opportunity to talk to two members of the governing board, this Sunday, Cindy Ladd-Fiorini and Lester Lloyd. That's a chance to share concerns, to ask questions, give feedback, or simply say hello. So when Zoom asks you if you want to join a breakout room, all you have to do is decline, and you will stay in the main meeting room, and that's where Cindy and Lloyd will be. It's a great way to stay connected to some of our democratically elected leaders in this bizarre time of isolation. And now we'll light the chalice. Let this flame be to us a symbol of the wholeness we seek, its brightness dispelling gloom, lighting a path to faith and hope, its glow reminding us of the sacred bonds that link us to all living things. its radiance calling us to cast the light of freedom, justice, and peace upon all the world.
Thank you, Michael. On this day, the light of our chalice intermingles with those of our sibling congregations, those who share our call in their own homes and perhaps in their sanctuaries or from their sanctuaries. From Duxbury to New Bedford, Bridgewater to Kingston, Attleboro to Taunton, Fall River to Newport, today our beacons grow brighter together. What good news do we bring them? What joy and promise and comfort? Come, let us meet each other in this light with love and courage. It's so good to see you all this morning. I hope you all are well and healthy. Our call to worship this morning comes from the incomparable voice of Starhawk in her poem entitled, "Community Means Strength." We are all longing to go home to some place we have never been, a place half remembered and half envisioned we can only catch glimpses of from time to time. Community. Somewhere there are people to whom we can speak with passion without having the words catch in our throats. Somewhere a circle of hands will open to receive us. Eyes will light up as we enter. Voices will celebrate with us whenever we come into our own power. Community means strength that joins our strength to do the work that needs to be done. Arms to hold us when we falter, a circle of healing, a circle of friends, someplace where we can be free. And I'm so fortunate to feel free with each and every one of you. So this morning, we're going to be exploring who we are as a congregation and as a denomination. And a song came to mind, "We Are." Some of you might know it. It was performed last year with a really stunning virtual choir during the first completely virtual General Assembly. If you know it, feel free to sing along or sit back and enjoy. Dustin, you can feel free to play it.
For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. Oh, for each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. Oh, for each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. We are our grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreamings, and we are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. We are mothers of courage, fathers of time, daughters of dust, and the sons of great visions. We're sisters of mercy, brothers of love, lovers of life, and the builders of nations. We're seekers of truth, keepers of faith, makers of peace, and the wisdom of ages. We are our grandmother's prayers. We are our grandfather's dreamings, and we are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. We are mothers of courage, fathers mothers of time, daughters of dust, and the sons of great visions. We're sisters of mercy, brothers of love, lovers of life, and the builders of nations. We're seekers of truth and keepers of faith. We are makers of peace and the wisdom of ages. We are our grandmother's prayers. We are our grandfather's dreamings, and we are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. We are our grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreamings. We are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. We are one. We are our grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's.
There's something so interesting about that song for me personally. I came into Unitarian Universalism because of my high school choir director, who had us sing that song in high school, completely outside of a Unitarian Universalist context. So coming to this faith was sort of like coming home to that song. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Now is the time in our service for the time for all ages. So if there are any young ones with you, or a young part of yourself, an older part of yourself, all of that, bring that to this space now. I'll need some help from the audience. So if you feel moved to share, you are welcome to unmute yourself. Because today we're going to be talking about how we, each other, are the bridge. Dustin, you can feel free to start sharing those images. You and I and congregations kind of all around this area, we're sort of like little separate islands of ourselves. If you want to skip to the next image, Dustin, that'll kind of show that well. I chose to represent us as little islands with palm trees because I don't know about y'all, but I want it to be like in the 70s or 80s already. I feel like I'm impatient. So we're all on vacation together. So imagine that each of us as individuals or as different congregations, we're like islands, kind of separate sometimes from one another. And there are barriers that sometimes separate us. Would anyone like to unmute and share what you think are barriers that separate people? They can be physical or emotional, or you could put it in the chat too if you want. What do you think?
How about age?
By age, okay. So there can be like a generational gap or generational boundary there sometimes, sure.
Judgment.
Judgment of one another. Yeah, definitely, for sure. Like preconceived notions. Sure.
Fear.
Fear is a big one. Yeah, for sure.
Politics.
Oh, go ahead, Shirley.
Politics.
Politics, yeah. I feel that like with friends and family a lot, sure.
I was going to say resistance to change.
Yeah. Yeah, that can be a tough thing too, for sure. Time to connect, I see that someone said. Right. I feel like sometimes, like during the pandemic, we thought that we might be less busy because we're at home, but we put those Zoom meetings back to back. I don't know about y'all, but I've definitely done that. And then I'm like, wow, I have way less time than I thought. These are really good. So all of these can be kind of boundaries. And so if we're like these islands and we want to kind of move beyond these barriers or boundaries, we need tools and supplies to build bridges between us. So each of these islands you can see has a hammer, some planks of wood, some nails to kind of bridge that gap. And I would love to know what you guys think are ways that we can bridge gaps with one another. What types of tools can we use to make these boundaries less?
Listen more to each other.
Listening more, for sure. I think of the Hindu god Ganesh, who has a small mouth and really big ears. He has an elephant head, so he has big ears and a little mouth. And I always think of him when I'm like, all right, I need to listen more. For sure. Yeah.
I think when the community joins together to do something worthwhile that they all believe in or have something to look forward to, that's amazing.
Yeah. Like a project, an action, some kind of tangible thing that we can do that's kind of a manifestation of our principles.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyone else have any thoughts about that?
We all have different religious backgrounds, which we can bring with us.
Yeah, that can be a beautiful way to create welcome, right? Like to find people with similar affinities, to learn from one another's faiths or spiritualities or religions. That's absolutely a thing.
Giving one another the benefit of the doubt.
Oh, yes. That's such a good one. And that's such a challenge sometimes. Definitely.
Openness and honesty.
Openness and honesty. Definitely.
I think to celebrate life as a group, to have, a celebration together.
Yeah. To lean into the celebrations, the wonderful things that happen. It's easy sometimes to focus on the not great things, right? But to be able to celebrate those really good things with each other, for sure. So yeah, right. So sometimes this building of bridges it's kind of a labor of love, right? To build that camaraderie and trust and to build relationships with people. It takes time and it takes a lot of help. So I need your help this morning. So you are going to help me build a little bridge. Shout out to Google Slides. They have great little graphics. I'm like kind of obsessed. So yes, so we are going to be building a bridge between these two separate places, these two separate people kind of together. So how could you, there have been some examples of it, but I could use a few which will represent the planks that make up this bridge. What are some ways that we can begin to bridge these gaps by using welcome specifically? What are different ways to welcome different people?
Well, I think to have clear communication on our website and our signage, maybe some kind of media to make sure that everybody knows that it's an inclusive environment and that everybody's welcome, and to give a little bit of communication about who we are and what we have to offer.
Yeah, making it very like visual. Make it like when you drive by FP Ducks, Like that's a place I want to be. That's a place that accepts me for who I am. Yeah, totally. What's another plank we can add to this bridge?
Share food and joy together.
Yeah, food is the best way. Even if you don't speak the same language, you can welcome people with food and hospitality. Absolutely. That's a great one.
And of course, music has been a big part of our celebration together. So music is, of course, another universal language.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like, oh my gosh, if I showed y'all my Spotify playlists, like my little music playlists, you would be like, most of this is not in English. And like music is a big connector, regardless of like cultural background or any of that kind of thing. Definitely. We've got our 3 planks, but if anyone else wants to kind of strengthen our bridge a little bit, you have any other thoughts? I think everything that has been mentioned is brilliant stuff. And I'm not surprised at all that you guys could help me so easily build this bridge this morning. Because I remember when I first came to First Parish Duxbury, I remember feeling very welcome, hearing the choir and like getting to chat with everybody at coffee hour. It was really wonderful. So you, me, we are the bridge, and there are lots of ways to create this. So let's consider those ways while we are in community together. How we can create right relationship, how we can share resources and ideas so that we're all, as a denomination, better equipped to serve the world. How we can break down harmful social systems like racism and sexism, homophobia, all this stuff by challenging preconceptions. These are all things that are worth keeping in mind so that we can create a bridged and stronger world and denomination. So thank you all for sharing. It was really cool to hear your ideas. And I'll pass it to you, Michael.
We've now come to the time in our morning service for the sharing of joys and concerns. For the next couple of minutes, all are invited to share in the chat any joys or concerns that you would like to share, and let us hold them together in love.
I'm a new grandmother.
Congratulations, Susan. I've lit 4 candles this morning. The first is a collective candle for all of the joys and concerns that have been raised or will be raised by members of the congregation this morning through the chat. The second candle is for the over 3 million souls that have been lost to the virus worldwide so far. Although here in the US there have been some signs of hope, the news around the world is more grim. It took 9 months for the first million people to die. It took 4 months for the next million. And it has taken 3 months for this current 3rd million. And all of this is almost certainly an undercount. The third candle is for all the victims of gun violence during 2021. These include deaths by accident, by suicide, by passion, by cold calculation, by mental pathology, and of course, by state action. So many, too many deaths. The fourth candle is for all the joys and concerns that are deeply felt, but not yet spoken.
Thank you, Michael. Let's take a moment of silence to move those joys and concerns inwards, to hold one another in care. And now we will enter into a time of musical meditation. Our bodies are agents of resistance and rejoicing. And our breath is the instrument which moves these into the world. Let us use this gift to impart healing and love to ourselves, our neighbors, and our community. Take a moment to breathe deeply and to move this love into the world. And Peter's music this morning will be the road that moves this love outwards. Peter, you are welcome to go for it.
You're down in trouble and you need a helping hand, and nothing, oh, nothing is going right. Close your eyes and think of me, and soon I will be there to brighten up even your darkest night. You just call out my name, and you know wherever I am, I'll come running, see you again. Winter, spring, summer, or fall, hey, now all you gotta do is call, and I will be there, yes I will. You got a friend. If the sky above you should turn dark and full of clouds, and that old north wind should begin to blow, keep your head together and call my name out loud now. Soon I'll be knocking upon your door. You just call out my name, and you know wherever I am, I'll come running, see you again. Winter, spring, summer, or fall, and now all you got to do is call, and I will be there, yes I will. Hey, ain't it good to got a friend. People could be so cold. They'll hurt you and desert you. They'll take your soul if you let them. Oh yeah, but don't you let them. You just call out my name, and you know wherever I am, I'll come running, see you again. Winter, spring, summer, or fall, hey now all you got to do is call, and I will be there, yes I will. Yes, I will be there, yes I will. Yes, I will be there, yes I will. You got a friend. You got a friend. Ain't it good to know you got a friend?
Thank you, Peter. That was a really nice reminder. The words of our next hymn, Draw the Circle Wide, remind us to draw our circles wider and wider to include more voices, more ideas, more hopes and dreams for the future of this world. If you find you catch on to the words quickly, feel free to sing along. Dustin, you can go ahead and play it now. I don't know if we have audio.
Draw the circle wide. Draw the circle. Draw the circle wide. Draw the circle. Draw the circle wide. No one stands alone. We'll stand side by side. Draw the circle. Let this be our song. No one stands alone, standing side by side. Draw the circle wide. Draw the circle wide. Draw the circle, draw the circle wide. No one stands alone, we'll stand side by side. Draw the circle wide. Draw the circle wide. Draw
I honestly don't know which is better, whether the whether that beautiful child at the end, like, showing up, or the song itself. Oh my gosh. It's all good things. Thank you for playing that, Dustin. So I moved up here from Florida at a young age, and it was the first time I had ever met so many folks who grew up in one town, got married in the same town, raised their kids just in the town over, came back to this town after retirement, and or had never traveled anywhere else before. As Florida is like the complete opposite in that regard, I found it really fascinating. It drove home a truth for me, that our world sometimes seems so small, especially if you live in southeastern Massachusetts. But my gosh, do I love this place. There's some bibs and bobs that most of us know about our tiny corner of the world. For one, nobody likes driving on the green in Taunton. Foxborough's a see the Pats game, park on the main road in traffic, and continue tailgating kind of place. Brewster, Chatham, Barnstable. My vacation-loving side says, yes, please. And my mind is like, Sagamore Bridge, no, honey, I'm good, I'm fine. Some things are the same in multiple towns, too. We cherish the sight of every Mary Lou's while scorning their hiring practices. We hold out for the next Dunkin' Donuts that will no doubt be waiting for us about 3 or 5 minutes down the street. We mourn the decline of the Silver City Galleria Mall, or maybe we don't. And then we rush to the Emerald Square Mall around Christmas time. Of course, pre-COVID, right? And perhaps most importantly, in this context, we don't blink an eye at the myriad of beautiful towering steeples and churches and meeting halls that dot each town in our region. If variety is the spice of life, then southeastern Massachusetts churches make up a delicious, overwhelming curry. There's a consistent Unitarian Universalist flavor to this curry, though, and it comes from the 36 UU churches within about 30 miles of Bridgewater. Can y'all believe that? 36. In some parts of the United States, there's like one UU church in the, in 500 square miles or something like that. So we're really lucky. Reverend Christina Willie McKnight of First Parish Taunton brought that number to my attention. And I thought it was so surprising. Imagine how cool it would look in like post-COVID times when it's safe to gather again in our congregations. If the walls of our sanctuaries all became invisible and we could see the chalice light from our neighbors' churches here and there, like beacons dotted around in our small corner of New England, calling each of us home and to action. What has your experience been of Unitarian Universalism in this region? How has it been here at First Parish Duxbury? In pre-COVID days, I kept hearing that I just had to get to the services in Malden, and that coffee hour at the Taunton Church takes place right in the back of their sanctuary where they worship. How cool is that? Did anyone hear that the Kingston Church celebrated their 300th anniversary the same year that Bridgewater did? And a few years ago, First Parish Stoughton became a welcoming congregation. And you guys know all about what a welcoming congregation is. It's, about committing yourself to creating radically welcoming, safe space for LGBTQI plus visitors and members. It's awesome. The work of these congregations, of our congregations, is worth celebrating. New England is where Unitarianism and Universalism really took early footholds in the United States. So it's no wonder that there's so much happening here. And sometimes congregations, especially in southeastern Massachusetts, sometimes become so like insulated in what their own cultures and practices are that we forget or don't discover what other manifestations of our denomination look like outside of our walls, and what unique ways our neighboring congregations respond to the changing tides of church. What positionality do they have in their communities? How do they keep the lights on and the bills paid? What strategies do they employ in their anti-racism and anti-oppression practices? We each face challenges of our own, but often we reinvent the wheel and try different strategies, sometimes with a lot of success, and other times, perhaps downtrodden, we return to the drawing board. What if we committed ourselves to consciously widening our visions, drawing our circle wider? And how can we more consciously include the prophetic voices and movements that the wider UU world offers? You may literally read the UU world, or raise your hand if you're a subscriber to the UU world. It's got some great stuff. They feature a lot of stories about what other Unitarian Universalists across the globe, and particularly in the United States, what they've been up to. For example, UU The Vote volunteers across the country made calls, de-escalated conflicts, monitored polls, hosted workshops, and so much more. Some of you might have participated in their programming. From Louisville, Kentucky to Kenosha, Wisconsin, the congregations of our faith have reaffirmed their own commitments to the reality that Black Lives Matter, just like First Parish Duxbury has. The Commission on Institutional Change created a landmark report called Widening the Circle of Concern. Some of you may have heard of this and maybe have read it. It reveals and provides resources for how to support long-term cultural and institutional change in our denomination, particularly when it comes to reckoning with our history with racism. The incredible authors of this report provide insights, reputable research, and strategies to whoever reads it on the ways that UU congregations can remain aware of very quickly moving and growing trends, how to maintain inclusivity, planning with an eye towards restoration, reparation, and accountability, and so much more. If you're interested in reading Widening the Circle of Concern, the entirety of it is available online, and I'll stick it in the chat for you guys. Like, highly recommend reading it. It's so interesting. Yeah, there's really good stuff in there. There's so much that continues developing and growing in our wider UU faith, and that's something to really celebrate. We are vibrant. We are resisting systems that do not serve, and we are building a new way, y'all, across and within state lines, right? It's inspiring to consider what can be possible if we made a point to connect intentionally with our neighboring congregations, not just for creative problem solving, but for times when the mounting darkness in our world threatens to shatter our resolve. On darker turns of the spiral in our wider world, numbers matter, and we gain comfort from mourning and bearing witness to one another, especially during this pandemic, whether we see pain or hope. Imagine then if our wider regional community were strengthened during dark times and good times. Reverend Christina from Taunton also inspired me to wonder something. What would it be like to imagine that you're visiting a town or a state that you've never visited before, only to find yourself in some kind of emergency situation or crisis? Imagine being like automatically oriented towards seeking assistance from your Unitarian Universalist siblings in that otherwise brand new place because you took a workshop or attended a service or otherwise somehow met their members or leadership during like a virtual event. Or if you're just driving by and you see Unitarian Universalists, you're like, okay, I know that I can trust these people. Imagine how beautiful that would be. It turns out that there are so many ways to meet other Unitarian Universalists in a multitude of venues, some of which many of you have probably experienced yourselves. And to not only tell them how amazing FP Dux is, I'll be getting to that shortly, but also learning from them. One conference in particular that might be interesting to some of y'all is literally called Building Bridges. And it's a conference started by Reverend Christina from Taunton and their amazing DRE, April Rosario. They were inspired by the recognition that congregations in Southeastern Mass and Rhode Island are stronger together. And this conference celebrates and encourages relationship building, resource sharing, and collaboration between our congregations. And all of this takes place on Star Island, where some of you may have visited. It's a really special, it's like a beautiful rocky shoal, like it's an island off the coast of Portsmouth, New Hampshire, that's hosted UU and United Church of Christ conferences for many, many years. It's been in this service apparently for like over 100 years, and it's just a beloved place. If you're interested in this conference, which is happening this summer, you can visit this. I'm pre-stocked with these links. Feel free to click on it and check it out. And of course, there are many other awesome conferences. This is just one. So we've spent a lot of time thinking about other churches and the experiences of the wider UU world. But what about us? What role does First Parish Duxbury play in the larger story of our faith? Who are we, beloveds, in this fantastic, diverse array of strands that weave to make the future of equity, compassion, and right relations a reality? If you have thoughts about that, feel free to share them in the chat. Share what you think really specifically about First Parish Duxbury is moving Unitarian Universalism into the future. And I can think of a lot of things. There's a lot of things about FP Dux that fills me with excitement and hope. I think of the work being done by the Social Justice Committee, in particular, the Racial Justice Working Group, which I had the pleasure of attending. Folks make bag lunches for unhoused people in Plymouth. There's the partnerships with the Box Project and Father Bill's, Guest at Your Table. I'm like, heck yes, UUSC. They are so awesome. It's so cool that we partner with them. And your hard work in becoming a welcoming congregation and creating opportunities to learn and grow are so important. I wish I could have joined you all to hear C.B. Beale speak. I heard that they were just fantastic. And at the end of the day, the way that each and every one of you show up for one another, especially our youth, lays the foundation of what makes First Parish Duxbury. It's been beautiful to learn about the ways that this community shows up for one another. Whether that's the Stewardship Sunday gathering at the church or during the first ever virtual youth group Sunday takeover. And just imagine what we'll be doing in the future. First Parish Duxbury's history is important to consider too when we think about what we give to wider Unitarian Universalism. Many of you know about the history of First Parish Church's involvement with the Ballou Channing district. It's likely that there were many intercongregational activities and programs during this time. And some of these types of things continue in this area, like the 5-point cluster of Foxborough, Brockton, Northeaston, Canton, Stoughton, Sharon. I guess that I don't know if that's more than 5 points, but there's a lot of them, and they do fantastic things together. And they share resources and activities, services, youth programming. It's awesome. And some of these things are absolutely possible for First Parish Duxbury and kind of the surrounding areas too. This all might invite ponderings too about Duxbury's more long ago history. Duxbury, Kingston, and Plymouth's positionality on the indigenous land of the Wampanoag and this area's history when it comes to the onset of colonialism in this part of North America is really unique. I used to be an archaeological field crew member in a past life. And I was part of what's called a data recovery excavation in a nearby town to Duxbury. And as a predominantly white archaeology crew, we could not fathom the depth of the history under our feet. It ended up being like 10,000 years of continuous occupation on one swath of land near Duxbury. That's like older than the Great Pyramids of Giza, y'all. It's extraordinary. But our Wampanoag monitors at the archaeological site knew this very well. And this is all to say that Duxbury has an important role to play in lifting the voices of Indigenous folks and reckoning with the colonialist history of this area, especially following the 400th anniversary of the landing of the Mayflower. And those discussions were had at the last General Assembly in 2020. And folks around the country look specifically to Duxbury and Kingston and Plymouth and this kind of area in general to hear how we answer that call to recognize what Indigenous folks in this area have been through. And I know that this community answers that call and can still continue to do so much around that. So there's really so much about Duxbury in particular that is so important to the larger story of Unitarian Universalism and its future. So, beloveds, as we move through this time and how Unitarian Universalism is growing and becoming something that it's meant to be in, the next 20, 30, 40 years, let's practice in the here and now, building thought forms that challenge apathy and fear, and agitate and break what's crystallized in one another, and build bridges in the process. The power and strength of our denomination, of its call to serve the world, and the call that we here at First Parish Duxbury have, is so powerful. Let's live into that strength. And may we live out the words, "From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live." May it be so, beloveds. Our closing hymn today is a song called "Down by the Riverside," which is a historical hymn that has African-American roots in particular. And I chose to use this at the end because I want to take you guys back in time to 2017 with me, to the General Assembly that followed the time in 2016 when our denomination was powerfully called to address white supremacy in a new way. It took place in New Orleans, so between the jazz notes and the thousands of people, the thousands of Unitarian Universalists singing and dancing at once, it was an awesome experience. So come on in and join it. Dustin, you can feel free to play it whenever you're ready.
We invite you to rise in body or in spirit and join us as we sing and dance in true New Orleans style, beginning with the rousing African-American spiritual, Down by the Riverside. A one, a two, a one, and up.
I cannot even tell you what the energy was like in the room that day, but I hope that you were able to feel even just a fraction of it. Like, imagine like 2,000 UUs having an out-of-body experience. It was pretty awesome. Beloveds, as we depart this sacred space, let's covenant to meet one another at the threshold of a fearless world, one that we've created together out of challenge and trial. Let us witness to our neighbors, keep eyes and hearts open, and break open the barred doorways. We are each other's keepers. May we remain so in unity and purpose. Amen. Namaste. Blessed be. Our postlude today comes from Melanie DeMore, who many of you may know. She's a vocal activist of over 30 years, and she has lent her voice to this movement on multiple occasions. This song that you're going to hear, Standing Stone, is a call to many of us to help give voice to those in this world who move without one. How does our tradition call us to use who we are in this struggle, in this moment, to afford that voice to someone who does not have it? Her song, Standing Stone, is performed by her and the Vocal Essence Chorus, and it's pretty wonderful. Dustin, you're welcome to start it whenever you're ready.
I will be your standing stone. I will stand by you. I will be your standing stone. I will stand by you. And when you feel it, you rise, and we think about all the people out there who don't have a voice. This is our time to sing and hold them up. Nod your head if you understand what I'm saying. So when you feel it, and not before, because your heart will tell you when. I will be your standing stone. I will stand by you. I will be your standing stone. I will stand by you. I will be your standing stone. I will stand by you. I will be your standing stone. I will stand by you. I will be your standing stone. I will stand by you. Believe it. I will be your standing stone. I will stand by you. I will be your standing stone. I will stand by you. I will be your standing stone.
let us continue standing by each other's side. Thank you.
And thank you, Michaela, for such a truly wonderful and inspiring service. I'm not sure everybody knows, but Michaela is in preparation to become a minister, and clearly she's going to be a good one. So a reminder that you'll go to breakout rooms next, but if you'd like to talk to Cindy and Lester from the governing board, simply decline going to the breakout room, and you can stay in the main room and speak with them. Don't forget the blessing of the global pandemic stone at noon if you'd like to attend that. And now, today, may you be blessed. Go forth and be a blessing to the world. See you next week.